Let me tell you a story about the Titanic. Not that story. But the guy I want to talk about was in the movie. He's this guy. As you can see, he loves his booze, he's a fiend for the sauce, and for good reason. It's pretty much the only thing that saved him from the same fate as our favourite little dreamboat, Jack Dawson. His name was Charles Johin, and the 44-year-old was the ill-fated ship's chief baker. I mean, it was a pretty sweet gig, right? Bet he had his fingers in all sorts of pies. Well, it would have been a sweet gig until the whole, iceberg decimating the hull and condemning you to an ice-cold watery grave thing. But he was an astute one, our Charles. Old Chucky. He knew he needed an edge if he was going to get out of this alive. He was off duty when the collision happened. A giant crash stirred him, and he leapt out of his bunk to his feet. When it slowly dawned on Charles what was happening, he immediately roused his team of 13 bakers and started loading up the lifeboats with food and provision.
Because that's what heroes do.
Then, when all the food was loaded, it was time for Chuck to do what he did best. Wading back to his quarters, he grabbed a bottle of brandy he kept for special occasions only and sculled the lot. He was sinking brandy on a sinking ship, probably like holding his nose to neck it in one fell swoop. This wasn't an enjoyable tipple. This was survival. Survival of the littest. Now, with his buzz well and truly on, he was fueled by liquid courage. He stumbled up to the A-deck promenade and threw 40 deck chairs overboard, one after another, so that they could be used as flotation devices. Hopefully they worked better than that piece of wood that Rose hogged all to herself. You definitely could have shared. Selfish. And the movie also got this part right. When the ship was sinking, Charles in his drunken stupor somehow managed to navigate to the topmost part of the ship. And the scene of them all plummeting down into the water like that, absolute vertically, is based on the testimony that he gave. Riding it down, the frigid black water getting closer and closer, he was eventually enveloped by it, consuming the ship beneath him. Charles Johin was literally the last survivor to leave the RMS Titanic. The last person to touch it above water. Amazing. And get this, he was floating in that freezing cold, unforgiving water for over 2 hours. 2 hours in -2 degrees water. And he later said it wasn't even that much of an ordeal for him. Guy was probably singing drunken sea shanties to himself to pass the time. It's mind-boggling though, because being plastered on alcohol is known to increase the risk of hypothermia. A drunk person is much more likely to freeze to death than a sober one. It's a fact. Be that as it may, Charles contributes him being smashed to his survival, which he said helped him to not panic, which, as you can probably imagine, will be quite easy to do when you find yourself doggy paddling in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean. Charles Johin was eventually discovered by a lifeboat and was rescued from the sea suffering from swollen feet and not much else. He was as fit as a fiddle. After his ordeal, the legend would continue working on ships, including World War II troop transports, until his retirement in 1944. Charles Johin would die 12 years later in 1956, at the ripe old age of 78. Just one of the countless incredible characters from the timeless tale of the Titanic. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until the next adventure, see ya.